For Comedy Hype News, I'm Ramil Thompson. A lot of times in television, there are notable characters and performers that help a TV show stand out. These actors embody the character so strongly that audiences forever remember them for these roles. Unfortunately, due to the unpredictable nature of Hollywood, sometimes these actors are not properly satisfied with the work environment and choose to leave their beloved roles. Whether it's Ashton Kutcher leaving That 70s Show, Roseanne leaving Roseanne, or Eddie Murphy leaving SNL. The departure of a signature character always impacts the show and leaves fans wondering how they will continue. Another example we can throw in that canon would be the early departure of Damon Wayans from In Living Color. In Living Color ran from 1990 to 1994 with 5 seasons and was an instant hit with many audiences noting the raunchiness and boldness of the satire. Many notable names such as Jim Carrey, David Alan Grier, Jamie Foxx, and Tommy Davidson were all given some of their first big breaks by performing in Living Color. The comic relief of the show was based on over-exaggerated parodies of real-life situations, and people often use this comedy as commentary on society. The title In Living Color is a reference to the fact that the show was made for and made by people of color, unlike many sketch shows at the time, most notably SNL. In Living Color wanted to stand out at a time where family-oriented, inoffensive shows such as The Cosby Show and Family Matters were popular. Despite all the positive reaction, many had criticisms about the representation on the show, as they claimed the show perpetuated many negative stereotypes about African Americans. They made crude, brash jokes about any and every subject, offending many people in the process. The show produced a host of famous skit characters such as Fly Girls, Calhoun Tubbs, and Homie D. Clown, portrayed by the Wayans brother, Damon Wayans. Damon had a large part in the show, as many of his characters were of the main and recurring cast. In the first 3 seasons, Damon was a part of some of the show's most famous moments, but by the 4th season he would no longer be on the show, to the disappointment of many fans. Many may not know the reasons why someone as important to the show as Damon would leave the show after the astronomical success of In Living Color, but in the later years more details have come out about why Damon would leave the show that made him famous. He portrayed some of the show's most popular characters such as Anton Jackson, Handyman, and the Headley's Haymon. Damon has stated that filming on set was usually always a good time. In an interview with Hot 97 he states, "It was live. That's what's crazy about it. It was like the most fun we had doing In Living Color. Me and David had our little thing where we would hide stuff from each other in the rehearsal and you wouldn't even know what we was going to do. Then my goal was to make him laugh and his goal was to make me laugh. And man, we would get in trouble all the time." Outside of In Living Color, Damon was establishing a nice career as a solo act, which would begin to take up most of his time and would eventually contribute to his departure as a main character after season 3. However, other career opportunities wouldn't be the only reason why Damon walked away. The raw and crude nature of the show seems to have gone past what the network intended, which resulted in heavy censorship. This censorship is what Damon says made him want to leave the show and network. An excerpt from the Ambrosia for Heads news covering his Breakfast Club interview states, January 1992, Men on Football sketch played during the Super Bowl halftime show. The sketch implied that Richard Gere and Carl Lewis were homosexuals. It was rumor, but we made it true. Laughs Wayans at a legend surrounding Richard Gere inserting gerbils into his body. Fox started really coming down on us with censorship. Additionally, Damon had begun to have a successful movie and TV career with films such as The Last Boy Scout and Mo Money, and was slated to have his own show, The Wayne Heads, which left him with less time for In Living Color. He also wanted more money from Fox, something that a network that is already struggling could not provide. Damon's attitude rubbed off on other members of the cast, as David Alan Grier, Jim Carrey, and Kim Wayans would also sit out for more money. The drama between the network and his brother Keenen came to a head when Keenen refused to submit a tape of the show that was owed to the network because they chose to air the reruns. A manager of the Wayans family, Gold, described the situation to Entertainment Weekly. "It was a battle of wills, but he held the tape for more like 2 hours. After they made their decision to air the reruns, they were basically saying, F you, we have business control. So Keenen was saying, oh yeah, well F you, I have creative control." After a standoff, Keenen decided to leave the network and Damon and the other Wayans siblings left for good also, as they weren't under contract. In the later years, there were rumors going around that there had been some drama between Damon and Keenen over the show, but sources close to the Wayans families have shut this down. According to the book, Homie Don't Play That by David Peisner, Keenen denies any jealousy or sibling rivalry between the two. Damon and I are in different lanes. If you look at our careers, you can see that. I'm more behind the camera, he's more in front. Damon is a stronger performer than I am. I am a stronger creator than he is. When he broke out, I was happy. I knew he was a star. That's why I hired him. There's no competition. That was the goal, for all of them to become stars. In 2012, TV Land hosted a reunion of the cast, but Damon did not show up because he was offered only $2,500 for the In Living Color reboot. In a Breakfast Club interview, he explained, "That had to do with Fox disrespecting me. I never want to make my brother look bad, but at a certain point, there's just something in me that won't allow that. Everybody else can kiss my ass. Family's fam." After being such a heavy contributor to the show, one can see how Damon felt disrespected by the offer, especially considering that he was definitely a rising star and had just had 2 starring movie roles. The offer showed the lack of respect Fox had for the talent that helped keep the network afloat. The censorship difficulties led to creative constriction, which gave Damon the same feelings he had while he performed on SNL before his firing. Damon got fired from SNL for improvising during a skit in which he portrayed a character who was supposed to be heterosexual as gay. Damon had been given more creative freedom on In Living Color, and the censorship and creative control Fox tried to have was too constricting, more than likely reminding Damon of the SNL situation, prompting him to leave the show first. Of course, once executives caught wind that Damon was preparing to leave the show, they wanted to do anything they could to keep their star. According to the In Living Color book by Peisner, Damon might have already been fed up. "I had no allegiance to the show because of how I was treated. There's no commitment to me, so why should I be committed to them? That was Fox's fault. They were thinking out of allegiance to my brother, I wouldn't go. They were playing the family card." Damon later added, "If Kenan would have said, 'Hey Damon, I need you to stay,' I gladly would have stayed. But Kenan didn't say that, so I thought I had his blessing." Marlon would eventually replace Damon when the new season began airing in the fall of 1992. This would be the 4th season of In Living Color, which would mark Kenan's last season as executive producer and showrunner. Kenan himself had been having some differences with the higher ups at Fox. Fox seemed to be struggling business-wise, and this led to a lot of firing and rehiring. Unfortunately, during this process, a lot of the show consultants became white, and this affected the creative control related to In Living Color. The show lost a lot of its magic that made it so successful in seasons 1 through 3, which Kenan attributed to a lack of black people behind the scenes. Things got even worse when a boss at Fox, Benito Mussolini, made it clear that they were going to start airing reruns of the show's first 2 seasons, which decreased the value of the show. Not to mention, Damon had already been gone from the show for a year and was already in the middle of negotiations that would see his return. "I just made the deal to come back, and they were paying me $75,000 to sketch." Once Kenan quit, Fox said, "We'll give you $200,000 extra per show to take over as executive producer." The book, Homie Don't Play That, describes this as Fox offering Damon a dagger to plunge into Kenan's back. Damon refused and walked out with Kenan and Marlon. Unfortunately, because Kim and Sean were still under contract for the season, Fox wouldn't let them leave. Damon knew the show had lost a lot of the magic that made it special after the family left. What's interesting is that the show didn't really work after Kenan left, which is a testament to his vision. Damon would go on to have a very successful movie and TV career, including hits such as Mo Money, Major Pain, and Spike Lee's Bamboozled, and of course his own sitcom show, My Wife and Kids. There were whispers of an In Living Color reboot, but it seems this has died down as of 2022. Ultimately, it seems the reason Damon left the In Living Color cast is because of the network trying to limit their creative range and ownership, along with too much control. Hopefully, as more black-owned media spaces come to light, we can have more classic shows like In Living Color with authentic black voices without interference. Stay up to date with the latest news and comedy by subscribing here to our YouTube channel, follow Comedy Hype across all social media, and look out for original content on our new streaming service at comedyhype.com. For Comedy Hype News, I'm Ramil Thompson.